Hegseth now goes on the counterattack. Good morning, Kuhner country. Okay, my friends, there's no other way to put it. This is now turning into an all-out life or death battle. Really, not just over the nomination of Pete Hegseth to be President Trump's Secretary of Defense, but in many ways. The question now facing the Trump transition team: is this going to be a MAGA administration with a true MAGA cabinet? In other words, is Trump going to be able to get his picks, his choices to be in his cabinet? Or is this going to be a deep state cabinet? I mean, really, this is now what it's turning into. This is a massive contentious battle. So here is now the absolute latest. The deep state is now taking its stand. They got one kill. They took down Matt Gaetz. They believe there is blood in the water. And now, whetting their appetite, they are now doing everything in their power to sink Pete Hegseth's nomination to be the next head of the Department of Defense and really the head of the military. And so here is now the absolute latest. Pete Hegseth has been making the rounds up on the Senate, Capitol Hill. He has been meeting with numerous senators. According to Trump transition officials, there is now a shadow campaign being waged by about 4, 5, maybe 6 Senate Republicans who are now doing everything possible to torpedo the Hegseth nomination. They want to take Pete Hegseth down. And all 47 Democrats are already arrayed against them. All they need is 4 Republicans. That's it. 4 rhinos. 53 Republicans, 47 Democrats. That's going to be the way the Senate works out when they're all sworn in January. So Republicans have a thin majority. Hegseth can afford to lose 3. If it's 50-50, J.D. Vance will be the tie-breaking vote. But if he loses 4, it's over. Well, listen now to this. It has now come out through multiple sources within the Trump inner circle. They have confirmed it to the Federalist. They have confirmed it to Mark Levin. They have confirmed it now to other very reputable, trustworthy conservative media outlets that the ringleader in this shadow secret campaign to sabotage and destroy Pete Hegseth's nomination is none other, as I pointed out on X last night, but Iowa Rhino Senator Joni Ernst. Joni Ernst is a former combat veteran herself. In fact, she's a sexual assault survivor. Joni Ernst has a tremendous amount of weight and credibility on military issues up on Capitol Hill. She is very, very close to defense lobbyists, defense contractor lobbyists, very close to the military-industrial complex. She does not like Pete Hegseth because she doesn't like his agenda. And, my friends, I got to lay it all out. I got to be perfectly frank with all of you. Joni Ernst is now becoming the new Liz Cheney. She is the one, along with Lindsey Graham, and I'm going to get to him soon, but now it's obvious. She's the one, along with Lindsey Graham, who is quarterbacking this assassination campaign against Hegseth. The leaks in the media, the attacks on Hegseth's character, the constant doubts about Hegseth, giving the impression that he can't be confirmed, that his nomination is faltering, that this is an uphill battle, that Hegseth simply doesn't have the votes. This is all being led and lobbied by Joni Ernst. And the Trump team has now confirmed, listen to this, you want to talk about a backstabbing witch. And I'm sorry, but that's what this woman is. A backstabbing little witch. She's been on the phone lobbying Trump as she's trying to knock out Hegseth to convince him. In fact, the term that's used by Trump team officials is, quote unquote, she's a constant nag, unquote. She keeps nagging, their words, not mine, Trump to make her the next Secretary of Defense. She's saying, what's wrong with me? I'm a senator from Iowa. I've been around. I got experience. I can work the Senate Armed Services Committee. I've got great contacts. I'm a combat veteran myself. I'm someone who can speak on behalf of veterans across the country. I've got excellent relations with all these big defense contractors and with the military-industrial complex. I'm someone with the gravitas, the resume, the experience to truly be the next Secretary of Defense. Not this guy, Pete Hegseth. So, not only is she waging a secret campaign to knock this man out and destroy him professionally, personally, based on a pack of lies, uncorroborated, anonymous allegations. Again, most of them disproven. And what's interesting is that every attack against Pete Hegseth, and you can take them one after another, whether that he showed up to work drunk or, in their words, hungover, reeking of alcohol. You could smell the alcohol on their breath, according to some of these former Fox News producers, but none of them will put their name to it. Or that somehow Pete Hegseth is this Casanova, this cad, this man who engages in sexual misconduct. None of them will put their name to it. It's all anonymous. Yet everyone who's come out to refute these allegations and say they're lies, they're disgusting smears and lies, have come out with their name on record, in public. In other words, they're willing to put their necks and reputations on the line to say this is garbage. You've got people who've been working at Fox and Friends Weekend for years saying, I've worked with Pete Hegseth for 5, 6, 7, 8 years. He's never showed up drunk. I've never smelled alcohol on his breath. Hell, show me a tape where Hegseth has showed up drunk to work. The camera doesn't lie. When were his eyes bloodshot? When was his speech slurred? When was this guy in any way incapacitated on the air? When did he miss any scheduled appearance? Never. It's garbage. You're literally making this up. But it doesn't matter. It's all about what Nancy Pelosi called the wrap-up smear. And she gave away, this was about in 2017, 2018. She held a press conference. And she said, no, let me tell you how it's done here in Washington. When you want to destroy somebody, you put out a story through you people. She's talking to the media. Hey, you work with us. And we put out, always anonymous. And we just put out some lie. And then you guys repeat it. And then we say, well, my God, look at these allegations. I'm sorry. I don't know if we can appoint you or confirm you. I'm sorry. I don't know if we can support you. Listen now to Nancy Pelosi in 2017 saying, this is how you do the wrap-up smear. Roll cut 9, Mike.
So they don't want them to see that contrast, so they focus on something else. And it's a diversionary tactic. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. You demonize, and then we call it the wrap-up smear. If you want to talk politics, you call it the wrap-up smear. You smear somebody with falsehoods and all the rest, and then you merchandise it. And then you write it, and they'll say, see, it's reported in the press that this, and this. So they have that validation that the press reported the smear, and then it's called the wrap-up smear. Now I'm going to merchandise the press's report on the smear that we made. And it's a tactic, and it's self-evident.
There you go. I mean, they've given you the playbook. Now, that's exactly now what Joni Ernst and the Rhinos are doing. Ernst, Lindsey Graham, Lisa Murkowski, Susan Collins, and Mitch McConnell. That's the block. That's the block now trying to destroy Pete Hegseth. Mike, how much time left? Okay, I'm going to play this on the other side. So, here you have, and this is Joni Ernst. She is a pro-war, pro-Ukraine warmonger. That's who she is. She, in fact, urged Republicans and conservatives to ditch Donald Trump last year. She said, no, forget about him. We got to move on from Donald Trump. And now she wants to sink not just Pete Hegseth. They're going after everybody. Anybody who's core MAGA. Robert F. Kennedy Jr., Kash Patel, Tulsi Gabbard. They want to take them all out. She is now the new Liz Cheney. And it's time we told her, enough is enough. 6:19 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's Bulldozer. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, lines are now being drawn, and this is now turning into a titanic battle. Not just over who gets to choose who Trump will have run the Department of Defense, and ultimately the military, obviously, but with it, the military-industrial complex. But it's about Trump's cabinet, and it's about the Trump administration and his second term. And what is now clearly emerging on Capitol Hill is that the swamp is not going down without a fight. Now, listen to Joni Ernst. This was on Fox News. Now, I want you to just stand back. She's the one that's leaking all this stuff against Pete Hegseth. Or her people are, okay, to be more accurate. Her people are leaking all of this garbage and orchestrating this media campaign against him. That he's a drunk, that he loves the bottle, that he sexually assaults women, that the guy is morally unfit to be to be the head of the Defense Department and to lead the troops. All the while, she's meeting with Hegseth. She had a meeting with him, what was it, a day ago or a day and a half ago? And, she's asking him questions, and do you want to have coffee? And how can we clear this up, Pete? I just want to hear your side of the story. We have to have a thorough vetting process, blah, 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 blah. As she's actively stabbing him in the back, and simultaneously, this is the part that's the mind blower, she's lobbying Trump. She's calling Trump on the phone. According to Trump's people, she just keeps constantly nagging us. Hey, make me Secretary of Defense. How come not me? Forget Hegseth. He's got too much baggage. Me. Pick me. Yeah, jealous Joni. I love it, Mike. I love it. Jealous Joni. This woman thinks Trump should pick her to be the next Secretary of Defense. And that's clearly one of the major ulterior motives she has in wrecking Hegseth's candidacy. So she goes now on Fox News, and she's pressed. Well, you met him. A lot of Republican senators now are coming out in favor of Pete. You've got a lot of people who worked with Pete, know Pete, colleagues of Pete, who are saying this is all garbage. Everything being said against him is a lie. They're refuting everything in the media. But she won't say yes. Just like Lindsey Graham will not publicly say, yes, I support Pete Hegseth. Listen to her now. Dance and dance and dance. Roll cut 8, Mike.
Will you support his nomination? Well, I did have a very long, lengthy discussion with Pete yesterday, and I do appreciate his service to the nation. I also am a combat veteran. So we talked about a number of those issues, and we will continue with the vetting process. I think that that is incredibly important. So again, all I'm saying is we had a very frank and productive discussion, and I know that we will continue to have conversation in the upcoming months.
No, she won't say yes. Did you notice that? And the other thing, you see how sleazy they are up on D.C.? Notice how she's trying to just insinuate herself and kind of give her own credentials? Well, I'm a combat veteran myself. Wink, wink. In other words, Donald, hey, I know one of the big things you liked about Hegseth, about Pete. He served multiple tours. He's a warrior. I'm a warrior. I served tours. I was in combat. How come you're not looking at me? And then notice, we continue to have a frank discussion. The vetting process will continue. Translation. Okay, that's Washington speak. And this is translation. So we're going to continue to smear him. We're just going to keep this going now until we think we've done enough damage to him that we can go to the president and say he doesn't have the votes. Now, I know many of you think, oh, Ron DeSantis would make a better pick. I don't know how you can possibly think Joni Ernst makes a better pick, but let that go. Oh, come on, let's move on from Pete Hegseth. I'm telling you, if they can destroy a patriot like Pete Hegseth, who is a MAGA loyalist, who is committed to Trump's vision, Trump's agenda, who is there to really drain the swamp. And by the way, the vets and the service members on the ground love him. Love Hegseth. They want, that's the irony, the people who are in the military. I'm not talking about the generals. Okay, I'm talking about the war fighters. They desperately want Hegseth. Why? They go, can we finally have a voice for us? Can we finally have somebody who's going to speak up for us, our needs, our interests, our concerns, and put our needs and priorities first for once? Lindsey Graham is running around with defense lobbyists. Joni Ernst is running around with defense lobbyists and telling them, don't worry, we're going to sink this guy. The problem with Hegseth is not anything that he's done. No. The problem with Hegseth is he's not in bed with the swamp. And now they're trying to destroy this guy and derail Trump's administration before it even gets off the ground. Because let me tell all of you this. If you're going to destroy Hegseth based on the fact that he was a womanizer, what do you think they're going to do to Robert F. Kennedy Jr.? No disrespect to RFK. I think he's a perfect guy to be a head of Health and Human Services secretary. But would his checkered past with women, if this is now the new standard, they're all going to go down. Hegseth speaks out next. 6:31 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's Bulldozer. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, lines are jammed. I'm going to go right to the phone lines. I just want you to hear Pete Hegseth. This is now Pete Hegseth. He is talking to reporters in a hallway. He says he just spoke with Donald Trump. Trump is saying, hey, look, I know what the swamp's trying to do. They're trying to defame you, slander you, destroy you the way they tried to slander and destroy me. And my recommendation, stand your ground and fight, fight, fight. So, listen now to Hegseth, asked by reporters, and now everywhere he goes, the only question now they keep asking him is, when will you drop out? When will you drop out? So they believe they can take him out. And by taking him out already, they believe they will have destroyed a good part of Trump's agenda before Trump has even been inaugurated. And Hegseth says, I am a warrior. I am a fighter. I do not back down. Roll cut 7, Mike.
Have you had any conversations with the president-elect about replacing you with Governor DeSantis?
I spoke to the president-elect this morning. He said, keep going, keep fighting. Behind you all the way.
So you're in this all the way.
Why would I back down? I've always been a fighter. I'm here for the more fighters. This is personal passion for me.
You're not withdrawing your name from consideration, just to be clear.
We're meeting all day with senators.
I know your mom was just on Fox. She says that you are a changed.
I mean, it's disgusting what they're doing to him. It really is. By the way, 3 tours of duty? No, I just want you to think about this. Combat in Afghanistan, combat in Iraq, put his life on the line, and this is the thanks he gets? Like, he's a hero. The man's an American hero. And this is the thanks that he gets? So if you can hear, the audio is a little bit choppy, because they're in the hallway, so it's hard to get good sound. But basically, will you withdraw your nomination? And Hegseth says, well, I just got off the phone with Trump, and he says he's behind me all the way, keep fighting. So why would I back down? And as he put it, I've always been a fighter, and I'm here for all the war fighters. That's going to be my standard when I'm the head of the Defense Department. I'm not here for the lobbyists. I'm not here for the big defense contractors. I'm not here for the globalists. I'm not here for the warmongers. I'm not here for the deep state or the bureaucracy. I stand with the people in the field. I'm here to put the troops and America and Americans first. Try that for once. Now, let me just say one more thing, and then I want to go right to the phone lines, I promise. I don't understand why no one is willing to ask Joni Ernst a very simple question, because this is the question I would ask her if she had the guts to come on this show. Why is it, Senator Ernst, that for you and for Lindsey Graham and for Mitch McConnell and for Susan Collins and for Lisa Murkowski, because this is now the bloc that is determined to stop and derail Trump, why was it good enough for you to vote for all of Biden's cabinet picks? Biden. Joni Ernst voted for Merrick Garland. She voted for Lloyd Austin to be defense secretary. Okay? That incompetent hack. She even voted for Pete Buttigieg, for God's sakes, as transportation secretary. What literally, according to him, according to his own admission, Buttigieg said, he was asked, well, what qualifications do you have to be Secretary of Transportation? And he said, well, that's where I proposed to his partner, Chaz, whatever his name is. Yeah, we love airports. Why do we love airports? Because that's where I proposed. Your qualification is that you propose to your male partner to get married at an airport? That's your qualification to be in charge of the entire transportation system of the United States? Yep, and she voted for him. No problem. So, Lloyd Austin is good enough. Buttigieg is good enough. Garland is good enough. I could go on. Mayorkas is good enough as Homeland Security Secretary. But Patriot Pete, MAGA Patriot Pete, is not good enough as Defense Secretary. Blank you. And this is what I said it on X, and now I'm going to say it again. And I'm going to say it loud and clear so everybody hears this. Joni Ernst is now the new Liz Cheney. She's a warmonger. She's a neocon. She's a rhino hack who now is doing everything in her power to sabotage Trump and sabotage his agenda. And just like Cheney, she's greedy for power. And she wants to run the military. She wants to be defense secretary. It's time to primary her ass. And it's time, I'm telling you, it's time to take the gloves off. And it's time now for Trump, Elon Musk. He's got a huge pack, where he says he's going to spend hundreds of millions of dollars if need be to go after rhinos and primary them. And it's time now for MAGA and conservatives to say to people like Joni Ernst, hey, you lost, Trump won. The only reason why you're going to have a chairmanship of any committee is because Trump won the Senate, Trump won the election. He won, he gets to pick his nominees. It's that simple. Notice, when Biden won in 2020, he got every single nominee that he wanted. Not one Democrat, voted a single time against any of Biden's nominees. They've already sank the nomination of Gates. Now they want to destroy Pete Hegseth? You're going to give him that kind of power? And I'm telling you, everybody's now following the Kuhner man's lead. I said, you watch. This is going to be Trump's Sudetenland. You keep appeasing these monsters, these swamp creatures. And I'm telling you, they're going to devour half your cabinet. And it's not going to be the Marco Rubios and the Elise Stefanik's, the more establishment types, because that they like. That's okay. And they'll say, see, we're reasonable. No way. We gave you Rubio. We gave you Elise Stefanik. What are you complaining about? It's MAGA. It's Tulsi. It's RFK. It's Kash Patel. It's Matt Gaetz. It's Pete Hegseth. The disruptors, the change agents, the people that are there in the key positions to drain that swamp. Suddenly, no. Everybody's got morals now all of a sudden. Everybody's the Virgin Mary now all of a sudden. Have you noticed that? Suddenly now, hey, everybody's a Mormon. Everybody now, I don't drink, I don't have sex, I don't even look at that. I don't look at another woman. I don't even touch alcohol. The message now has to be loud and clear to Joni Ernst. You want to go after Pete Hegseth? You want to quarterback this shadow campaign? We're going to go to Iowa in 2026, and we are going to primary you and destroy your political career exactly the way we did Liz Cheney. We're going to give you the Liz Cheney. You want to be Liz Cheney? We're going to give you the treatment of Liz Cheney. You're going to get the Liz Cheney treatment. And that goes for Lindsey Graham. Nancy Mace now has floated. She's willing to primary Lindsey Graham. Great. I swear, great. Get rid of that rhino snake once and for all. And someone needs to let these people know. And I think Trump now has to start speaking out. I choose the nominees. You don't choose the nominees. Now, unless there's something really egregious, okay, I get to pick. And I'm the one who's the best judge to decide. If Pete Hegseth is not working out at the Defense Department, as an example, I'll fire him. Trump doesn't fire people? The whole criticism waged by the Democrats against him in his first term is he keeps firing people in the cabinet. Why? Because they're not producing. So, you know, the argument you make to everybody is, well, I'm not sure if Pete Hegseth's up for the job. Don't worry. If he's not up for the job, Trump will fire him within 6 months. Don't worry. Relax. But give Pete a chance. For once, let's not have a career bureaucrat, a lifelong swamp creature, an establishment shill run the Defense Department. Let's have a true war fighter, someone who served, someone who cares about the troops. And yes, winning wars and making us again the most lethal, effective military in the world. Give Pete a chance. Trump won. He has the right to pick his nominee. Yes, no, agree, disagree. All of your calls next. 649 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's Bulldozer. 617-266-6868 is the number. Lines are jammed. Okay, you can text us 70470. 70470. Very, very quickly. This is from 603. And 603 makes an absolutely brilliant, I mean brilliant point. Jeff, notice this. You cited all of those Biden cabinet picks that Joni Ernst voted to approve for his cabinet. Merrick Garland, Lloyd Austin, Alejandro Mayorkas, Pete Buttigieg. Consider for a moment the unspeakable damage that has been done to our country by every one of those picks that she gave the nod to. Now, to be fair, McConnell is the same, Collins is the same, Murkowski, Lindsey Graham, they're all the same. But they're the ones now opposing behind the scenes and smearing and defaming Pete Hegseth. Now, there's something about these establishment Republicans. I'm sorry, I have to say this. It's like they like to lose. They want to lose. It's like they love being the junior party, the junior partner in this uniparty. The Democrats are more like the permanent majority, and the Republicans are always like second fiddle. But, you know, they get seats on committees, they get lucrative contracts thrown their way, they get in bed with lobbyists, they do okay, and, you know, they make sure that they're taken care of. But it's like their job is to lose to Democrats. And only to attack one of their own if they're a true blue conservative, or a true America First patriot, or a true Trump MAGA reformer. And by the way, that's what I've noticed here in Massachusetts. That's the Massachusetts Republican establishment to a T. That's Amy Carnevale to a T. That's Charlie Baker to a T. I mean, I could run down the whole list. That's what they do. They're there to be the Washington Generals to the Democrats as Harlem Globetrotters. Controlled opposition. And that's on a smaller scale. The junior partner of this kind of establishment. They get the scraps off the table. They get a little something for themselves. But they're there to make sure the Democrats keep their system and their power structure in place. That's exactly what you're seeing up on Capitol Hill. Biden can get whatever he wants. But God forbid you bring in a true outsider, a true insurgent, a true change agent into the Defense Department. Whoa, 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 hey, whoa, whoa, whoa. He had an affair. Oh, my God. He's on his third wife. We can't have that. He shows up to work. They say his breath smells of alcohol. To Joni Ernst, you got one choice and one choice only. Vote for Pete Hegseth as the next defense secretary or become the next Liz Cheney. Take your pick. Take your pick. Because we're done. I'm done. MAGA's done. We're done. 76 million votes for Donald Trump. Get out of the way. 617-266-6868. Agree, disagree. Anthony in Michigan. You're going to kick us off, Anthony. Thanks for holding and welcome.
Dr. Kuhner, I'm so fired up. Mike has got to change the bumper music to one song today, the theme song from Rocky.
Go ahead, Anthony.
Hey, I got like 7 bullet points. Let me get to it. We have to stop kissing the rings or something else of all these people in the House of Lords. The next one. Remember Limbaugh? He said, give him 100 days. You'll own this town for 20 years. All these people that they're trying to stop were on both Sean Ryan's show and Joe Rogan's podcast. Number 3, recess appoint every nominee for a total of 240 days, because then you could have a blitzkrieg from day one, and that would basically tell these people, as Bannon says, suck on this, okay? Point number 5, 65 years and out, we need term limits. If it's not good enough for airline pilots to be flying after 65, it's not good enough for the Senate. Number 6, I extremely disagree with Grace. DeSantis is done, and Barris has said so. His career's done after the shenanigans he pulled trying to run this time. And Musk is right. He's got the money. He wants to primary them all. Let the games begin.
Well, Anthony, look, Musk is such a game changer. You made excellent points across the board, but in other words, look, it's time we go to these rhinos and say, hey, look, the old guard is over. Your days are finished. It's over. Your control over the party is over. Your control over the country is over. That's what this election signifies. And there's a new sheriff in town. Now, if you don't like it, we've got Elon Musk, and he's got an unlimited war chest. And Musk has now come out publicly and said, look, I'm willing to spend hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars to primary these rhinos and get them out of the way. So we don't just have the votes now. We've got the money to back up the votes. And I'm sorry, but it's time we start to use this and tell Lindsey Graham, hey, you know what? We've got Nancy Mace waiting. You're not going to be senator from South Carolina forever. She will beat you in a primary, and we'll have the money to back her. So, toe the line and do what we want you to do, or end your career. And I'm just run down the line. And if we do that, I'm telling you, watch. So, by the way, it's interesting. So far, no one is willing to publicly say they're against Pete Hegseth on the Republican side. Hey, all Democrats are against him, but that goes without saying. Because they're starting to look, and they're like, ooh, the natives are getting restless. The peasants are picking up their political pitchforks. I know this for a fact. Kuhner country has been burning the phones off the hook. Lindsey Graham's phone, Joni Ernst's phone, Susan Collins' phone, Murkowski's phone. So they're starting to ask themselves, it's not so easy anymore to sabotage somebody. They cannot be allowed to take down Pete Hegseth, period. And not with this new standard that they suddenly invented. All of a sudden now, womanizing disqualifies you? And the drinking stuff, that's complete garbage. I mean, seriously, you're going to take down a nominee based on one hit piece using anonymous sources? No one's putting their name to it? When you've got dozens of people coming out saying on the record with their name, I worked with him, I was his producer, I was with him for years, never showed up drunk, never showed up under the influence. What are you people talking about? So is that what it takes now? You're going to give the swamp that kind of power? You're going to give the media that kind of power? One bullcrap piece full of lies and innuendo and anonymous allegations, and that's it? Your nominee's done? I'm sorry. We got to draw the line. And this is the line. Thank you, Anthony. Thank you very much for that call. Now, look, as for DeSantis, I don't understand why Grace... Look, he's a very good governor. And I get it why that's why Grace likes him so much. But, look, would he make a very solid defense secretary? Yeah, of course. He's a very competent man. I think he'd make a solid cabinet member of any position, not just defense. He's a very good manager, very smart, very hardworking, very disciplined. I'm just stating the facts. But why should we give up Pete Hegseth? And notice, let's just say this plays out, just for the sake of argument, okay? Follow me for 5 seconds. So we lose Pete Hegseth. You bring in DeSantis now to run the Defense Department. By the way, there's no guarantee they're going to accept DeSantis. I don't know why everybody's suddenly thinking, oh, yeah, they're going to just rubber stamp him. No, Joni Ernst wants to be the defense secretary. She wants that job. You don't think they're going to smear DeSantis, potentially? What I'm saying is, you don't give these people that kind of power to destroy your nominees based on nothing, based on garbage. But let's say you get DeSantis. Well, then the left wins because you've taken him out of Florida. Let DeSantis fulfill his term in Florida. So you knock out Hegseth and you take DeSantis out of Florida. It's a win-win for the left. No, keep DeSantis in Florida. He's a very good governor, very popular, very effective. Let him run Florida and let Trump have his picks. You know, he didn't just pick Pete Hegseth out of a hat. Who's the guy that he wants to run the DOD? He wants an outsider. He wants someone from the military. He wants someone who fought. He wants a veteran service member, a combat veteran, a committed America First patriot to run the massive military bureaucracy. Yeah? How else are you going to drain the swamp? You're going to use the swamp to drain the swamp? I don't think so. 617-266-6868. And by the way, people don't know this about Joni Ernst. Who's in favor of transgender troops in the military? Joni Ernst. Who's in favor of massive gun control? She voted on one of the most draconian gun control bills in decades in support of it. Joni Ernst. Who's for unlimited aid to Ukraine? Joni Ernst. Who supports the endless wars in the Middle East? Joni Ernst. So you're not getting MAGA. You're getting a warmongering neoconservative. That's what you're going to get in defense. You're going to get the same old, same old, same old. So no wonder she wants herself. She wants herself to sabotage Trump. And remember, last year, she's the one that came out and said, dump Trump, ditch him. Republicans, move on. Don't vote for this guy. And we're going to have her now control the nomination process? I don't know. I'm sorry. You don't let your enemies determine your administration, your cabinet, and your agenda. But that's just me. 617-266-6868. Agree, disagree. Mark in Medford. Thanks for holding, Mark, and welcome.
Good morning, Jeff, and happy Friday to you.
Happy Friday, my friend.
So, Jeff, I'm 55 years old, so I think I'm old enough to remember just 4 short years ago when the third person in line for the presidency, was probably next to Ted Kennedy, the biggest drunk in Washington, and that's Nancy Pelosi. And to hear her voice when you played her clip earlier to say anything about this is freaking mind-boggling.
That's a great point. She's a lush. And by the way, Kamala Harris is a lush. I mean, well documented. Yeah, I mean, honestly, Mark, I mean, really, this is, I mean, I'm not talking about a rumor or a whisper. No, it's been well documented. It's bottle of wine after bottle of wine after bottle of wine. Never mind the weed and the, the marijuana and the drugs and, I mean, she fried her brain on that stuff. But like I said, drinky. Now, and the thing about Pete Hegseth, Mark, I mean, he's a social drinker. He's come out and said, yeah, I mean, I'll have a drink here and there. Holiday parties, whatever. We go out on a Friday night. Yeah, I'll have a couple of beers or, whatever. But this idea that I'm a drunk, that I'm an alcoholic, that I got a drinking problem, it's garbage. And then on top of that, Mark, I don't know if you heard, he met with Joni Ernst, and right away, within 5 minutes, the NBC News hit piece. By the way, planted by her people. Okay, so she plants the smear, and then turns around and says, Pete, what about this drinking? Come on, you're the leader of the military. We can't have somebody who's got alcohol issues. So she's pointing the NBC piece. So he refutes it. And then he says, but I'll tell you what, I'll make a pledge right now to show you I have such little problem with alcohol. When I was in combat in Afghanistan, in Iraq, you don't drink. I didn't take a drop of alcohol because you want to be stone cold sober because you never know when you're going to be on the battlefield. So for your life and the life of your colleagues, you cannot be drunk or you can't be drinking at all. At all. He goes, I consider this job now like I'm going to be back in combat. I'm going to be fighting for America and the war fighters, the active service duty members and the vets 24/7. I will not touch a drop of alcohol for my entire 4-year tenure as Secretary of Defense. And I will write that down, a pledge on paper. If anybody sees me, catches me, films me, whatever, having even a sip of alcohol, I will tender my resignation effective immediately. That's what he told her to her face. In other words, I have an alcohol problem. I'll tell you what, I'll be like Jeff Kuhner. I'll be a teetotaler. I will not touch the stuff. Like Donald Trump, I won't touch it for 4 years. Never touch it. In private, social occasions, at home, I will never, ever touch it because I'm Secretary of Defense 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. I'm on the job. This is war. Now, after that, senator after senator said, well, I'm backing him. But that's good enough for me. I'm backing him. But not Joni Ernst, Mark. No. She still needs to vet him, Mark. Mark, she's got to let the process play out, Mark. Mark, they had a good, frank, thorough discussion, but she still has a lot more questions, Mark. You see, for Joni Ernst and Lindsey Graham, Nancy Pelosi is okay. Kamala Harris is okay. John Boehner, when he was House Speaker, no problem. No problem. He went to bed drunk, he got up drunk. It doesn't matter. That was okay. But when it comes to Pete Hegseth, Mark, they don't trust him.
Well, Jeff, let's be honest here. There have been times when Nancy Pelosi came on national TV and all you had to do was just look at the way she walked, looked at her eyes, and the way she spoke. You knew she was drunk. And let me tell you something else, Jeff. You can't tell me for a minute that at Trump's State of the Union address, when she ripped up his speech, you can't tell me for a minute that she wasn't already half in the bag, because no normal person would do that at the State of the Union address without being under the influence of something.
I so agree. Mark, honestly, I so agree. And Mark, just to further piggyback off of what you're saying, look, I'm not saying I know Fox News A to Z and I've got contacts everywhere. But over the years, I've developed friendships and, people, they listen to my show at Fox. Some of the producers have been honest about it. They like my monologues. They crib some of my stuff. They go, Jeff, is it okay? Yeah, sure. I don't care. Go ahead. So anyway, long story short, I've got sources and contacts at Fox. And so I've asked them just on background. I go, look, I'm not going to name any names. Is there anything to this Pete Hegseth drinking, showing up with alcohol on his breath or, whatever, hungover? And to a man and a woman, and I'm telling you, I know quite a few over there, they said, Jeff, this is the first we ever heard of this. They go, look, honestly, there are other people in the building. You hear stuff. Drinking, drugs, you hear it. But Pete? Never. Never. They go, I'm telling you, never. Jeff, that piece came out and it was like, what? And they said, Jeff, I've worked with him. I've known him. We got lunch with him at the cafeteria over at Fox. He goes, I'm telling you. Now, is he a womanizer or was a womanizer? Yes. But he's admitted that. That's the thing about Pete Hegseth. He came out and said, look, I was a different man before. The ladies liked me, and I liked the ladies. And I had multiple divorces, and yes, I did cheat on my spouse, and I'm ashamed of it. But in 2018, he found Jesus. He goes, look, it's been 6 years now. I've been open about this. I had a profound religious conversion. I didn't want to lose my third wife. I looked at my kids, and I said, no, I don't want to be this kind of man anymore. And he goes, and now I go to church every Sunday. I'm loyal to my wife. I've asked everybody for forgiveness. And this is a different Pete Hegseth. So, yeah, he was a Casanova. He was a ladies' man. He's an attractive guy. And, women like him, as I said, and he liked women. But he's been open about that. Didn't lie about it. Didn't sweep it under the rug. But they say this idea of him, and that's been 6-7 years now. He's a changed man. He's a reformed man. But as for drinking, literally, that's what they said to me. They go, Jeff, that's like saying you drink. Like, can you imagine if people are waging a smear campaign against you, Jeff? And they're saying, oh, Kuhner, oh, you can smell the alcohol on his breath. Oh, he comes over, he comes on, he coming into the show, he's hungover. They go, people would say, bull, I gotta be careful, bull crap. Like, it's a lie. It's just, Mark, honestly, it's like saying Mark in Medford does cocaine. Oh, he's always stoned. Like, what are you talking about? Like, what do you guys just make this up? Hegseth has to fight, Mark. If they can take him down, they can take anybody down. Final word to you, Mark.
Well, Jeff, all I can say is this. I'm going to end the call with this, okay? If this is what we're judging people on now, then 3/4 of the government will be out of a job. And you know what? I wouldn't have a problem with that, because the less government, the better.
Mark, touche, as the French would say. Mark, thank you very much for that call. Well, and by the way, I think that's why they want the new standard. Think about it. If you want to prevent Trump from staffing his cabinet and staffing his administration, you just make the standards now so impossibly high. The Democrats don't apply it to themselves, but they want to apply it to Republicans. And that's another way of blocking Trump. 719 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's Bulldozer, 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, listen now. This is Pete Hegseth. He was on the Megyn Kelly show, and she asked him point blank, you've got all of these rhinos now. They sense blood. They think they can take you out. The Democrats are working with them. They believe they have the votes now to tank and sink your nomination. Has Trump asked you to withdraw? Listen now to Hegseth's response. Roll cut 6A, Mike.
How's it going with Trump right now? Is he so far standing by you, and have you spoken to him?
I spoke to him this morning, Megan. I mean, he's amazing. He's a fighter. He's been through this himself. And he told me the last thing he said to me, two things he said to me when I left his office when he chose me, besides what he said about being a warfighter, we can get into that, was, you're going to need to be tough. You're going to need to be tough. But he paused again as I was walking away and said, but you're the man for this moment. I chose you because you're the guy that's going to put the warfighters first. We haven't had that. We need a guy that's kicked down doors and understands the consequences of war and why us deterring war, fighting it, and winning it is important. I mean, he gets it.
Tough as, I can't say it on the air, I'm going to get fined. Tough as crap. Whatever. Tough as poop. I don't know how else to put it. But, yeah. Yes. Yes. So, now, what these rhinos have done, they've gotten a minor victory so far, is they've put a lot of pressure on Trump, saying, well, no, hey, come on now, look at these reports in the media. Oh, my God, we're getting blindsided here. So where is the FBI? They need to undergo, all your nominees have to undergo FBI background checks. Not just your team's checks or your legal team's checks. No. the corrupt FBI, the anti-Trump, destroy Trump FBI. Okay, but let that go. So Trump is like, okay, if that's what you guys need to confirm my people, fine. So Megyn Kelly asks Pete Hegseth, with the long knives out, are you worried about these FBI background checks now they're going to be conducting on you and your family? Listen to Pete Hegseth's response. Roll cut 6, Mike.
The confirmation hearings, how you're going to get cross-examined by Democrats, and potentially an FBI investigation. Do you welcome an FBI investigation?
Well, I can't wait for an FBI investigation. Can't wait. How soon can they start?
Really?
Yes, because that gives me an opportunity for them to do a real investigation. So what the media is doing right now is a witch hunt. It's trial by false accusation and lies. The FBI is going to look through and if they do their job properly, which I fully expect they will, they'll talk to everybody and get the full story and a full understanding. That's a report I welcome. So yeah, we're not hiding for that one bit.
He's right. It's a trial in the media by false accusation and lies. And what's really disgusting is that a lot of these lies are being fed by these establishment globalist, war machine rhinos who are lying about Hegseth and then using these lies by waving some story in Politico or the New Yorker or NBC News or wherever and saying, oh my God, I've got serious concerns here. This guy's just not up for the job. Trump's got to stand by his man, and Hegseth has to stand his ground. Because I believe in the end, he will win. Especially if we have his back and stand up to the lies and defamation and slanders. Agree, disagree, 617-266-6868 is the number. Mel in New York. Thanks for holding, Mel, and welcome.
Yeah. Good morning, Jeff.
Mel.
Happy weekend to you. Yes.
What's on your mind, my friend?
Yes, sir, Jeff. On November 5th, we the people rendered a verdict. And, I'm tired of, as I said to Mike, I've had it right up to my earlobes with these rhinos. I mean, it's obvious that the Republican Party has been infiltrated by the Democrats. And that you call them the Uniparty, which actually they are. You've got to see it as what it is. It's them now in behind our lines. They're in our party. They've been infiltrated, and we've got to see that and just be honest with it. But when we go to vote, we've got to really take a long look and more or less scrutinize who we are voting for. You have to look at their voting records before you cast that ballot and see how they voted, who they voted for, and what issues they voted for. And I also mentioned to Mike, I says, we 78 million Americans, not a 10 million man march, a 20 million man march down in Washington, D.C. It has to be a 78 million man march or Republican Conservative Party march. Not man. It's got to, I didn't mean to say that, but, to be women also. Adults to go out and show them that we've had enough. We've had enough of this of this corruption that only benefits those that are in politics, and it benefits the Democrat Party mostly. We've got to show them that we've had enough. If we have to take that Capitol building apart brick by brick and get these people not persecuted, but prosecuted for for what the crimes they've committed against us. That's what we have to do. I mean, we had January 6th, which was loaded with provocateurs that caused the problem. Plus, Capitol Police that shot into a crowd for what? For nothing? Shooting at women, children, and us conservatives. That was a stage. That was all set up. And Nancy Pelosi's ass has got to be raked across the coals.
Oh, I so agree.
Got to pay for her.
Oh, Mel, I so agree. I couldn't agree with you more. No, and look, this is the interesting thing. You're talking about a march on Washington. Many of Pete Hegseth's comrades or brothers and sisters, 100 Navy SEALs, have now said they're going to march on Washington in defense of Pete. 7:31 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, liberalism's worst nightmare, baby. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, you can text us 70470. 70470. Many of you are texting the Kuhner man saying, Jeff, you're very passionate about this Pete Hegseth confirmation battle. And, you know, like, what are you guys, like friends or buddies? Or I'm like, no, I've never met the guy. I mean, I'm just being honest with you. No, he's not a friend. He's not an acquaintance. I mean, I have nothing against him, obviously, but I don't know him. I've never met him. He's not a friend. No, look, I'm with Dan Bongino on this all the way. You know, to quote him, I'm tired of the machine. And that's what it is now. It's a machine. Just doing this to good people over and over and over again. Pete Hegseth, for all of his flaws, is a patriot. Frankly, he's an American hero. And if this guy is not qualified to be Secretary of Defense, then I'm sorry, nobody is. And Dan Bongino's right. This is the hill to die on. You have to make a decision, you know, what's worth, you know, staking everything. I think this is it. Because there is no question about it. I mean, it's an open, look, the Hill newspaper ran a big piece. Okay, that's the official newspaper of Capitol Hill. The Dems and the Rhinos are licking their chops already for RFK Jr. They're already starting with this. He's a womanizer and his checkered past with women. They're going to, if they can take down Hegseth, they're going to destroy RFK. They're already going on about Tulsi Gabbard being a Russian agent, a secret KGB agent. They're going to smear her. In fact, who was the one that accused her of being a Russian asset? It was Hillary Clinton. Hillary Clinton in 2020. Almost in a throwaway line, said Tulsi Gabbard is a Russian agent, a Russian asset. And he's and they run with that smear. By the way, it was Hillary Clinton that fabricated the whole Russia collusion hoax and smeared Trump. Okay, but let that go. They're going to go after Kash Patel. This is not going to stop. So, look, you got to draw a line in the sand somewhere. And I'm telling you, if we capitulate on Hegseth, then they're going to destroy all of MAGA. Every major core MAGA nominee is going to get destroyed. There's no question about it. So, no, you can't give the swamp, the machine, the media, this entire political media establishment that kind of power. We won the election, and our mandate was to clean up the swamp. It's time now to clean up the swamp. Now, just very, very quickly, okay? Very quickly. So these now are the allegations they're trying to push on Hegseth. Number one, this alleged sexual assault that took place in 2017 at a hotel in Monterey, California. Now, what the media is not telling you, they just keep saying, oh, it's an allegation, it's an allegation, it's an allegation. What the media is not telling you is that the police thoroughly investigated the allegation, and they said there was nothing to it. There was no rape. There was no sexual assault. None whatsoever. None. The woman lied because she slept with him while her husband and her child were right down the hallway in a separate hotel room. And she had to come up with some story to tell hubby, sweetheart, where were you all night? I was raped. So that story is a complete lie. But it doesn't matter. It's like Brett Kavanaugh. They're using the same playbook against Pete Hegseth that they used against Brett Kavanaugh. You just lie with Christine Blasey Ford. Smear, 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 and pretend that it's true. Again, the Nancy Pelosi wrap-up smear, as I played in the opening monologue. So that's not going anywhere. Then they're trying to make this ridiculous claim based off of so-called 10 anonymous sources at Fox News. They just come up with these numbers. Anonymous. Nobody wants to put a name to it. That he showed up drunk. Well, the problem is, or that he has a problem with the bottle. Now you've got dozens of Fox News hosts, producers, staff members, all coming out publicly with their names on the record, stating, I will stake my reputation. The guy never came to work drunk once. Never came under the influence once. We never smelled alcohol on his breath once. So it's being directly refuted. So now the media is trying to rely on this. Hegseth, for a couple of years before he really got big into Fox, was the head of an organization called Concerned Veterans for America. Okay, it's an advocacy group to help American vets, but in particular help register vets to vote and to push issues that are of concern to veterans. Okay, God bless that organization, and God bless Hegseth for having run it. Well, there was a hit piece against Hegseth in the New Yorker. By the way, the same New Yorker with the same reporter that lied about the Russia collusion hoax against Trump. Okay, but let that go. Let's let that go. So, what are the allegations against Hegseth? That he came to the job drinking, that he would come into work hungover, and that he mismanaged the organization and ran it into the ground. And that they eventually, in 2016, pushed Hegseth out. They fired him. Because apparently he was such a horrible CEO and head of this Concerned Veterans for America, this organization. Guess what? Garbage. People at Concerned Veterans for America came out. In fact, people on the board came out and said, again, based on one anonymous source, he never showed up drinking. That's a lie. He never showed up drunk or hungover. That's a lie. In fact, he dramatically expanded our membership. He was a great CEO and head of the organization. So why did Pete Hegseth decide to leave? We left for professional reasons, not personal reasons. Hegseth had a better offer from Fox News, number one. And number two, the organization did not want to be tied to Trump's foreign policy vision and Trump's foreign policy agenda. And Hegseth was a big proponent of America First. And they said, no, we're trying to advocate for all veterans. We try to be more nonpartisan. We don't want to be tied specifically to one candidate or one president at the time. And so the decision was made after Trump won the election in November 2016, because Pete was so public in his support for Trump that it wouldn't be good for the organization because they have to be objective, nonpartisan, non-political. And so they amicably parted ways. But I can read to you it's statement after statement from leading officials, including members of the board, including the head of the board at Concerned Veterans for America. Their names, their titles, not some anonymity, saying he was an outstanding CEO. All of these allegations in the New Yorker piece are lies, garbage. This guy did not run our organization into the ground. In fact, on the contrary, he did an outstanding job. We just had a political disagreement over whether we should endorse Trump. That was it. And he got a really good offer from Fox News. In fact, he was also weighing an offer from ABC News. And he eventually decided to go get a more full-time gig at Fox News. So the point being that everything they're throwing at Hegseth so far has been completely, like Brett Kavanaugh, 1,000% refuted. It's bullcrap. Now, is this going to be the new standard for Trump's nominees? You can have uncorroborated, unverified, anonymous allegations just peddled in some media story. By the way, and that's considered journalistic malpractice, just so that everybody knows. And all of a sudden, hey, there's one person in the New Yorker who, hey, he ran the organization into the ground. Well, Pete, I'm sorry. You can't run the DOD. I don't care. You want DeSantis? They'll destroy DeSantis. They'll destroy anybody, and that's the point. They don't want Trump to staff his administration. They don't want him to staff his cabinet. You want to transform Washington? You want to drain the swamp? Do you know how many people Trump is going to have to hire? He's going to have to hire literally, forget the cabinet, thousands of people. If they can set this new standard, they can paralyze this presidency and his administration for years. Confirm Hegseth now. 7:49 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's Bulldozer. 617-266-6868 is the number. You know, I just want to ask all of you this in all seriousness. We're talking now about one of the most powerful, important positions, jobs, not just in the United States, really in the world. The person who leads the American military and the Department of Defense is a person that's going to be wielding immense power over a massive, massive, massive bureaucracy with, you know, to me, the greatest troops in the history of the world. And if you're going to destroy a man and smear and defame a man, as the media now is systematically doing, being fed, as we now know, by the likes of Joni Ernst and Lindsey Graham and Mitch McConnell and Susan Collins, as they're waging now this shadow campaign to decapitate and destroy Hegseth's nomination. As we find out that Joni Ernst herself now literally wants the job. She's lobbying Trump for the job as she's trying to torpedo his own candidate. Okay, that's two-faced Washington for you. Don't you at least have a moral responsibility, an ethical responsibility to tell your readers the full context, as Pete Hegseth says? That, for example, they keep going on about this sexual misconduct allegation. And what did the police say? Was it investigated? And what did they conclude? They don't tell you that. They don't tell you, for example, at Concerned Veterans for America, that the so-called whistleblower that the New Yorker was relying on was a disaffected employee who Pete Hegseth fired 10 years ago because this employee was horrible, sucked at the job, and wasn't performing. And that this person has a motive to lie about Pete Hegseth. At least say disaffected employee who Pete Hegseth fired. If you're going to even raise these allegations. In other words, give people the truth, the full story, the full context. But instead, it's lie, 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 smear, smear, smear. Listen now, this is Rick Scott defending Pete Hegseth on This Is CNN. And of course, CNN is leading the charge against Hegseth. Okay, along with MS Left BC, whatever few viewers they have left. And there's Jake Fake Tapper. That Tapper's always good for one thing, and that's to carry water for the deep state. So there's fake Tapper saying, how could you say you support Hegseth without even an FBI background check? How dare you? Roll cut 4, Mike.
Background check? You don't want to hear from members of the veterans group alleging alcohol abuse, sexual misconduct? I mean, I know Hegseth denies any wrongdoing, but don't you want to get some more vetting done?
First off, number one, Donald Trump won the election. Number two, this is his nominee. We know we have to make changes. Number three, Pete is a great candidate. Here's something: I respect people that put on the uniform and led troops at war. He went to Iraq. He went to Afghanistan. He knows people that died. He knows people that were injured. He got out. He's fought for veterans since he got out. These are anonymous accusations. If these people are credible, Jake, ask him to come on your show. Ask him to come and explain these things. Pete did an op-ed. He's explained this. I've talked to him about it. I've met with him. I've known him. It's disgusting to me exactly what's going on. These people are trying to disparage somebody. Did they go serve? No. Did they put their life on the line? No. This is ridiculous what these people are doing. So he's a great nominee. He'll do a great job.
And then again, notice, Topper doesn't say, sexual misconduct allegations. Which the police said were bullcrap. Bravo Sierra. I'm sorry. So what? The allegations are garbage, disproven by the police. Why don't you mention that? Now, again, this alcohol abuse. Where's the evidence? Where's the evidence? So we're gonna take who do I even go to prove this? They're all anonymous. They're all anonymous. And to show you the hypocrisy of these people. Okay, this is why this is so disgusting. So disgusting. Fake Tapper went on the air and said, we're not going to cover the Doug. Remember Doug Emhoff? Okay, Doug Emhoff. How everything that came out about little Dougie, Kamala Harris's husband. Oh, those were anonymous allegations. Anonymous. No, we as reporters, we can't give credence to anonymous allegations. Even though we know that Doug Emhoff cheated on his first wife with the freaking nanny. In fact, he got her impregnated. And then according to the Daily Mail, the nanny says that he then did something to her that caused her to lose her baby. And then we have multiple people on the record, eyewitnesses, who saw him beat the living hell out of his girlfriend. Okay? Whack her. I mean, slap her so freaking hard at that Cannes Film Festival, he spun her 360 degrees. But they wouldn't report that about Doug Emhoff. No. Anonymous. You phony, you frauds, you. Honestly, it's disgusting. So, don't you want to know more about these allegations? Well, actually, no, they're bull crap. By the way, you can say BS literally on TV. Really, you can say it. I just can't say it. But anyway, let that go, okay? On the radio, you can't. Podcasts, you can, and TV, you can't. So, literally, on TV, I swear, if I was Rick Scott, I'd say, no, because those are bull, I would say it, bull, whatever, Bravo Sierra. I say BS. Because they're BS? That's why. Next. And then I would just turn it around. Tell me, how many people are banging who at CNN? How about you, fake Tapper? Huh? You want to talk about boozing on the job? Huh? At CNN? You want to start talking about who's boozing on the job at CNN? It's time to take the gloves off. Agree, disagree, 617-266-6868 is the number. Bruce in Woburn. Thanks for holding, Bruce, and welcome.
I got to give a double one.
I mean, Bruce, I got to tell you, those Navy SEALs, I know they're planning to do a big protest on behalf of Pete. to challenge and refute these smears and urge these rhinos to back him. He needs all the help he can get right now, Bruce, because this poor guy, holy mackerel. I mean, they're cutting him up and good. Bruce, can he survive this?
Jeff, this is communism. This is, you gotta. We're trying to get rid of these people. She's nothing less than a female Mike Pence. Am I correct, Jeff?
Jealous Joni. I mean, she wants that defense secretary job. Oh, Bruce, she can taste it. And you know what blows my mind? Why does she think she's going to get it? Like, does she think we're that stupid? She's going to torpedo Hegseth, and then Trump is just going to give her the nomination? And we're all going to say, okay, because somehow she's a combat veteran as well? Like, how stupid, seriously, Bruce, how stupid does she think we are?
I don't know, Jeff, but I can tell you this right now. I trust Donald Trump. Like in God we trust, in Trump I trust. I don't trust none of these moonbats, none of these squatters in our government. Get them out. Get rid of them. Terminate them. I'm just so frustrated, Jeff.
No, I hear you. No, look, Bruce, listen, look. The Democrats do not get to block Trump's nominees. And the media is an extension of the Democrats. That's all they are now. They're Democrat water carriers and propagandists. So this is what I would tell Joni Ernst and Lindsey Graham and every single other Republican. The Democrats don't get to decide who Trump's nominees are going to be. The people do. They elected him. He won the election with a decisive mandate. These are Trump's picks. He wants them. He gets them. That's it. It's that simple. The Democrats vote for every single one of their nominees. Every single one. So they can get their nominees, but we can't? No, I'm sorry. Enough is enough. And they've got to be told to their face, the answer is no. And if you persist in betraying the party and betraying Trump and really the voters and the American people, look at Liz Cheney. We're going to primary your ass. And you can kiss your career goodbye. And we've got Elon to bankroll the whole damn thing. So take door 1 or take door 2. Either respect the will of the people and approve Trump's cabinet picks, or door 2, say goodbye to your political career. Okay? Ask Liz Cheney what it's like to be teaching now at the University of Virginia. Because that's all about. Maybe Joni Ernst can get a teaching gig at the University of Iowa or Iowa State. Because that's about all your career is going to be worth by the time we're done with you. I don't understand. The Democrats play hardball all the time. What's so hard about it on our side? You know, as Newt Gingrich famously said, the Democrats play smash mouth football, the Republicans play badminton. I don't want to play badminton anymore. Smash mouth football. Very simple. Trump won, Trump gets his nominees. That's all. You don't like it? Fine. We primary you. Next. That's it. I mean, really, door 1 or door 2. Take your pick. Okay, agree, disagree, 617-266-6868 is the number. Should Trump draw a red line on the Hegseth nomination? And is this, as Dan Bongino says, is this the hill to die on? Is it time for us to make our stand? Yes, no, 617-266-6868. 8 o'clock, you know what that means. Caller of the week, Kuhner's Call Log.
It's time for Kuhner's Call Log, where we showcase our favorite caller from the week.
I can hear you. Can you hear me? Thanks for holding, Mary.
I am so angry right now. This is war. Are you surprised at the senators that are voting against Hegseth? And I want you to ask Senator Graham, why is he going to vote no on Hegseth? He was the one that undressed every single one of those Democrats in the Kavanaugh hearing because they had no proof. This is crazy. These same senators. Are you surprised? This is war. This is not about Pete Hegseth anymore. This is about these rhinos. We just won this election. Hands down, the American people have spoken, and we need to continue to speak. I have called every single one of them this morning. I knew who they were, and honestly, every single one of them are going to go up against Trump all the time. Scott should actually put a motion forward to actually remove Thune, because this is war now. This is war. If we don't win this, we've given up, because this is the deep state. They're part of the deep state.
And next week, it could be you on Kuhner's Call Log.
Please, don't be a stranger. Call again. Outstanding call. Honestly, outstanding call. She's, as I like to say, not 100, she's 1,000% correct. I mean, this is what this really is now. Forget Joni Ernst versus Pete Hegseth. Forget the rhinos versus MAGA patriots. This is really now Trump versus the deep state. And picks like Pete Hegseth or Robert F. Kennedy Jr. or Kash Patel or Tulsi Gabbard, those are just proxy wars between the deep state and Trump. That's what this really is. She's completely right. We're really up against the deep state. And Lindsey Graham and Joni Ernst and all these other rhinos are just doing their bidding. So let me ask all of you. It's the Kuhner Country poll question of the day, sponsored by Mario's Quality Roofing, Siding, and Windows. Will Pete Hegseth be confirmed as the next Secretary of Defense? Not should he be. That's a separate question. Will Pete Hegseth be confirmed? In other words, can he win this all-out life or death battle that is now taking place? You can vote on our webpage, wrko.com/Kuhner, Kuhn as in national ER, wrko.com/Kuhner. You can also vote via X. Again, last night, very active on X. My handle there, at the Kuhner Report, all one word, Kuhn as in national ER. Bill goes on News Nation and now says they're all going down. Pete Hegseth's not going to get confirmed. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is not going to get confirmed. Listen now to Bill O'Reilly. Roll cut 10, Mike.
So why does Donald Trump do this when he knows that Matt Gaetz was not going to be the Attorney General? He knows that RFK Jr. is not going to head Health and Human Services. He knows Hegseth is going down. Why does he do it? To send a message to his MAGA supporters that this time around, I'm not going to drain the swamp. I'm going to blow the swamp up. And if these people won't put my people in, it's not my fault. I nominated them. They're bomb throwers. They don't make it, I'll get somebody else. It's all about messaging. And Donald Trump is a genius at messaging. And that's why he won the election.
This guy's a moron. I'm sorry. If nobody else has the guts to say it, I'm going to say it. Okay, Bill, it's time to retire. I mean, really retire. This is not about messaging and putting up bomb throwers. By the way, what bombs has Pete Hegseth ever thrown? Could somebody point me? That's another. They keep describing him. He's a firebrand. He's a maverick. He's a bomb thrower. He wrote best-selling books on de-wokifying the military. What's bomb throwing about that? That, he's complaining in his books, rightfully so, that the troops on the ground, the men and women on the ground, don't want to be lectured to and taught about white rage and diversity, equity, inclusion in the military. And they don't want to watch videos about the glories of transgenderism. They didn't go to the military to, hate themselves for being white or hate themselves for being conservative or hating the United States of America or being told that a man is a woman and a woman is a man. And so he laid this out powerfully, eloquently in his best-selling work. And suddenly, that makes you a bomb thrower? To want to end wokeness in the military? Transgenderism in the military? Losing wars in the military? I mean, seriously. He's a bomb thrower. What bomb? No. Trump has picked Pete Hegseth. This may come as a shock, to O'Reilly and the press corps, because he believes he's the best person for the job. Because to drain the swamp, you got to get someone from outside the swamp, not in the swamp, or connected to the swamp, or ties to the swamp. Did that ever occur? Hello? 617-266-6868. But notice, the assumption is, if you hear O'Reilly, Hegseth's going down. Every piece you read, I'm telling you, Pete Hegseth's faltering nomination. Pete Hegseth's nomination, serious trouble. Pete Hegseth's most likely failed nomination. So they're trying to create this sense of inevitability. That, no, Hegseth's finished and, hey, there's just no point in voting for the guy. So, another kill. Another scalp. And now, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., come on, of course he's not going to get confirmed. So, in their mind, they're already halfway there. Gates, gone. Hegseth, gone. RFK Jr., gone. We're barely, December 6th? So then they're going to turn their guns on Tulsi, gone. Kash Patel, gone. John Ratcliffe at CIA, gone. And before you know it, they've neutralized and paralyzed Trump, and he hasn't even started his presidency yet. Agree, disagree, 617-266-6868. The only one that they can't seem to lay a glove on is Tom Homan. For now. The borders are. That's about it. But everything else, they smell blood in the water. And I'm telling you, they need to be reminded loud and clear. Trump won, you lost. You don't like it? There's the door, and don't let it hit you on the way out. Pete Hegseth, is he in danger of not being confirmed? Your calls next. Pete Hegseth on the brink. 8:20 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's Bulldozer. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, super quick. This is from 917. You can text us 70470. And my friends, this highlights why I'm saying this over and over again. It's not just about validating the election. It's not just about giving Trump his nominees. It's not just about respecting the will of the people. We are literally saving lives if we're going to drain the swamp. That's why we have to have the key people in the key positions to be able to finally take on these gangsters and thugs. Listen now to this. 917. Jeff, this is now just breaking. Today, the FBI nabbed a new January 6th political prisoner. Yes, a 57-year-old grandma who just had eye surgery. She's practically blind. She is being driven by the FBI to court to be charged with committing misdemeanors almost 4 years ago. The FBI are domestic terrorists. Bingo. Bingo. I'm sorry. That's now what many of them have now become. And that's why I'm telling you, they don't. By the way, all of this is ultimately about Kash Patel. They don't want Hegseth. Please, I'm not trying to minimize him or his qualifications. But this is about breaking Trump's back. Because the big prize for them, the big scalp, the mother scalp, is going to be Kash Patel as FBI director. So, because if you think they can't stand Pete Hegseth, oh my God, what do you think they're going to do to Kash Patel? Take out Hegseth, then you take out Robert F. Kennedy Jr., then you take out Tulsi Gabbard, and then the big one, Kash Patel. 617-266-6868 is the number. It's like dominoes. One falls, they figure they can all fall. Lines are loaded. 617-266-6868. Ellie in Worcester. Thanks for holding, Ellie, and welcome.
Hi, how are you?
Hi, Ellie. I'm good. How are you, Ellie?
I'm doing good. I love you in a non-pagan way.
Thank you, Ellie.
Three things, buddy. Three things. Bill O'Reilly has taken enough of your radio time. That the 2 minutes of your show, 45 minutes a year, I can't stand the guy. It's like, can't they make your show longer? Just by 2 minutes. It would help. Number two, if they try to take away Robert Kennedy Jr., then they can put in Dr. Simone Gold, who was also at the JC. She was thrown into prison. She's a doctor. I think she's a heart doctor. And they threw her into prison just for telling the truth about the shot. And then that was on the other side of the Capitol building. She didn't even do anything. And she's already been through the fire, you know? Number three, I don't know if anybody's ever seen Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, 1939, with Jimmy Stewart.
Love it. But
yeah,
please keep going, Ellie.
This movie shows that exactly how corrupt the media is and the fellow senators, because he was totally innocent and they turned against him. And this was 85 years ago, and nothing's changed in D.C. Nothing's changed with the media. This was 85 years ago, and it's still SSDD, you know?
Well, you know, Ellie, look, a lot has not changed. I agree with you. I think it's gotten worse, to be honest. But no, look, we've got a once, maybe in a century. People say generation. I'm not even sure it's generational. Once, maybe in 100 years, chance to really improve, change, and restore our country. That's really what's at stake now. And the question, and you see it again, it was the whole question during Trump's first term, and it's already coming back already. And he hasn't even been sworn in yet. Who runs America? In the end, that's the question. That if you want to know what the election was about, it's about many things, the border, the economy, inflation, all of that, yes. But fundamentally, at its absolute core, who runs America? Is it the unaccountable deep state? Is it the globalist elites with their powerful entrenched interests in the swamp and the ruling class? Or is it we, the American people, through our elected representatives? That's the question. And the answer that America gave, loud and clear, overwhelming, was we the people. And that's Trump's election, and that's his mandate. And he has a right now to implement his mandate. And what you're seeing now is the swamp is refusing to let go of control and power. And now we're going to have to teach them again, I'm sorry, you don't run this country anymore. We now run this country. We have voted to take it back. And we're going to take it back. That, to me, is the essence of the Hegseth nomination and every other Trump pick. So, the question is this: who runs America? 8:32 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's bulldozer, cleaning up the liberal bull. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, just super quick. Listen now to Republican Senator Eric Schmidt from Missouri. And, of course, CNN they're going ballistic. They're on a jihad to sink Hegseth's nomination, to take him down. Listen now to Republican Senator Schmidt saying, hey, look, I'm sorry. Trump ran on a reform agenda. He won. He's got a decisive mandate from the American people. He, in fact, is responsible for why the Republicans have taken back the Senate. And Pete Hegseth is a reformer. And he's going to reform the Pentagon. He's going to reform the deep state. He's going to reform the military-industrial complex. Pete Hegseth is the right man for the right moment for the right job. Listen to Eric Schmidt. Roll cut 5, Mike.
We also heard from Senator Wicker that Hegseth said in their meeting that if he's confirmed to the position, he will not drink. Do you have any concerns about these issues? And if there isn't a problem, why need he swear to sobriety?
Well, he's made those affirmative comments and said something similar to me in our meeting. I think he's trying to address these issues head on as they've been swirling around. And I think you've started to see his mom was interviewed. I'd not seen the entirety of that interview. I think speaking up for his character. But again, he's been nominated. President Trump ran on a reform agenda. And Pete Hegseth, I do think he brings a reform-minded agenda to the Pentagon. We're in desperate need of that. This is not a partisan issue. We're in a real competition with China. We will be judged on who wins that in the century that we're in right now. And I think, again, there's a lot of reform that we need in the Pentagon. That's why President Trump selected him. I think he's going to get wide deference on those picks, including Pete Hegseth.
I hope he's right. I hope Senator Schmidt is right. I hope they can bring Joni Ernst and Lindsey Graham and McConnell and Murkowski and Collins to heel. Because right now, that's potentially 5 no votes. And all they need is 4 to torpedo Pete. 617-266-6868. Gino in Buffalo. Thanks for holding, Gino, and welcome.
Morning, my American paisan.
Gino, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing good, Jeff. I just want to let you know, here in Buffalo, we have a local radio show host, and he's actually a veteran, a Medal of Honor winner, and one of these founding members of the veterans, that organization that Pete Hegseth ran. And he has nothing but spoke highly and defended Pete Hegseth and called all this nonsense that's swirling about him.
Gino, are you surprised? I'm just curious that the media would be so aggressive, so determined to destroy Hegseth. Of all the nominees, I know they got Gates first, I get it. But of all the nominees, that they would really train their guns on Hegseth. Are you shocked at that?
I'm not shocked at all, because, you can always measure how good a person is that's nominated by the amount of pushback that's against them. That's how much they hate him, because not because he's a bad person, but because he's gonna drain the swamp, and they're afraid. They're afraid as can be.
Gino, I'm just curious, because the media is trying to make such a big deal about this. Does it anger or bother you that, and he's admitted to this, he's a flawed man, He was a womanizer before, multiple wives. He's had affairs. Handsome guy, dashing, handsome guy, a bit of a Casanova when he was younger. That he's, women liked him, as he put it. He liked women. But he says, look, it's been about 6 years now. He found God. He really had a profound religious conversion, a born-again Christian, and that he's really cleaned up his life. And he said this in front of his current wife, who's been with him now for, 7 years or whatever it is. And he said, look, I say it in front of Jesus, in front of my wife, in front of my family. I'm not proud of what I was before, but that's not who I am now, and it's not who I've been for many years. Does it bother you, Gino? Because apparently the Democrats are making such a big deal about this, that Hegseth was a ladies' man, was promiscuous, allegedly, was a womanizer, and a philanderer. What say you?
Oh, Jeff, the only thing I can say to those people are, as Jesus said, let he who has not sinned cast the first stone. If we were to start digging into the skeletons of the closets of all those accusing this man of being a horrible person, they would be buried. It goes back as far as, it goes back farther than this, but because nobody, when they went after Kavanaugh, has been put in jail or held to account for the out-and-out lies they told. And nobody since then, when they smear them, nobody gets held to account. Hillary Clinton should be in jail for calling Tulsi Gabbard a Russian asset. She should be sued, and all those that followed suit should be sued. These are liars, and they're out to do nothing but harm the American public. They hate us, and they will stop at nothing to bury us.
Gino, wow. Drop the mic. Gino, have a great weekend, my fellow paisan. 617-266. Great. He was dynamite. Gino was dynamite. 617-266-6868. Bill Clinton. Seriously? Do we even want to go there? All of the accusations and allegations against Joe Biden, Tara Reid. I could go on and on and on. And you're gonna lecture me on Pete Hegseth? Are you kidding? And notice the difference. Clinton always lied about his affairs, never admitted to them. Joey, forget his affairs, the rapes, the sexual assaults, his own daughter, lied. This guy, he comes out and he said, look, he admits, he comes clean. No, I was a womanizer. I admit it. I was a skirt chaser, a tomcat, as Rich Lowry from National Review put it. Yeah, okay, sure. I was a warrior. I fooled around. I'm not proud of it, but that's what I was. But, he comes clean. He admits it. And he says, I'm a changed man. And so let me get this straight. For coming clean, for taking accountability, for being honest, you're going to destroy him for that? While you let these sexual predators and rapists like Bill Clinton and Joe Biden, I could go on, but I'm just using those two as an example. So they're good enough to be president, but he's not good enough to be Secretary of Defense? Blank off. 617-266-6868. Dan in New Hampshire. Thanks for holding, Dan, and welcome.
Yeah, the earlier caller, she was right. The Senate has been dirty for 85 years now, okay? We got to look at 1913 when the Bushes and the Cheneys, okay, Samuel Bush and John McCain Sr. put in the Federal Reserve, which is central banking, and the Rothschilds. They're controlling things. And in that very same year, that's when they changed the U.S. senators from being appointed to elected. So now all you had to do was buy the corrupt politicians, like these rats, Mitch McConnell, Lisa Murkowski, Susan Collins, Mark Wayne, John Curtis, Mitt Romney 2.0. That's who this guy's going to be. And soon, Lindsey Graham. And two of these guys, Jeff, Lindsey Graham and Mitch McConnell, are both tied to the Ukraine money laundering scheme. Jeff, yesterday you asked, I'd like to know, not yesterday, the other day, actually, you were saying, I heard you say something about I'd like to know what Ron DeSantis' stance on the Ukraine. You got to remember, when he was under the running for president, he said that he was for the Ukraine war and for funding it. But he flip-flopped because of the backlash. Because listen, Trump seen my shirts, Jeff. Okay, and he signed one of them. And
no, Dan, hold on. Before we get to the shirts, no, Dan, this is what disappointed me about DeSantis. It's the exact opposite. And in fact, I know this, and the reason why I'm pinpointing this, Dan, is because I had a passionate disagreement with Grace. Because, we were divided on the whole issue of who should be the nominee. And no, DeSantis initially, go back, Dan, you'll see. The first time he was asked by Tucker Carlson, what's your position on the Ukraine war? It was our position. He said it's none of our business. We don't have a vital interest there. We shouldn't get involved. Then he got backlash from the donors and the Bush people and the Cheney people. And that's when he flipped. And that's when he said, oh, no, I'm pro-Ukraine war. So that's when I said, you know what? I'm sorry, I can't trust him. I can't trust him for president, and I can't trust him for Secretary of Defense. 8:49 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's Bulldozer. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, super quick. If you think Pete Hegseth is having problems now, if we're going to allow this new standard, by the way, which doesn't apply to Democrats, so this is now a new rhino standard that they're only trying to apply to Trump's nominees. If you think Hegseth has issues regarding, womanizing, promiscuity, philandering in his younger days, what the hell do you think they're going to do to Robert F. Kennedy Jr.? And I don't mean this to disrespect RFK Jr. I think he's going to be a great Health and Human Services Secretary. His biography on Fauci is absolutely brilliant. And I think during COVID, he took an incredibly brave, courageous stand. But my point just being is, look, he's a Kennedy. And he's a lifelong womanizer. Self-admitted womanizer. In fact, he's embroiled in a sex scandal now. I don't know if you heard about this with his wife, Cheryl Hines. Apparently now they're having serious marital issues because Kennedy was involved, Robert F. K. Jr. was involved in a kind of sexting relationship, from what I understand, with this, well, she's no longer a journalist, but she was at New York Magazine. Her name was Olivia Nuzzi, Nuzzi. And apparently they didn't physically touch each other. It's bizarre the way these things are now, but they actually didn't physically have an affair, but there was like phone sex and sexting and sending naked pictures of each other. And apparently RFK Jr. said, at first it was consensual, but then she kind of became a stalker. She wouldn't stop. Anyway, so he's kind of almost got a restraining order on her now, and he wants her to back off. Anyway, it's all over the New York Post. It's all over the media. My point just being, if you think the Democrats and the rhinos are going to town on Hegseth, what the hell you think they're going to do to RFK? He's finished by these new standards. So what I'm saying is that, Trump better realize this is no longer a question of, well, all right, I work with John Thune and I want to work with people up on the Hill. And, if this is their asking price, maybe it's not the end of the world because I got a deep bench and maybe there's somebody else I can, effectively replace him with. Oh, no. You're whetting the appetite of the beast. And they're going to knock down at least half your nominees. Tulsi Gabbard, they've already telegraphed it. A KGB agent, a Russian asset. They're going to, and what's the evidence? Really not much. It's just, met with Assad. Said this about Putin. A phrase here, a comment there. Cherry pick. It's all selective. And before you know it, she's a Russian spy. Okay, like what they tried to do to Donald Trump. Now, they're going to do the exact same thing to Kash Patel. You take it right. I'm telling you, and they're going to do the same thing to Ratcliffe. And by the time you're done, half his cabinet's gone. And at best, it's going to take him years to staff his administration. So what I'm urging the president, as strongly as I can urge him, is you've got to start calling up all of these Republicans and say, no, we're now going to apply the Democrat standard. They don't vote against their nominees. We don't vote against our nominees. If Pete Buttigieg is good enough for the Democrats, if Merrick Garland is good enough for the Democrats, if Lloyd Austin is good enough for the Democrats, then all my people are good enough for you. Agree, disagree, 617-266-6868. Dave in Woburn. Thanks for holding, Dave, and welcome.
Good morning, Jeff. How you doing?
Good. How are you, Dave?
It's a bright, sunny day, Jeff, but I'm in Framingham now. I'm all over the map, Jeff. You know that.
Well, you're a working man, Dave. Go ahead, my friend.
Jeff, who cares about the affairs that he had when it's got nothing to do with his policies and the guy knows what he's doing? The whole thing is, Jeff, you and I both know, they don't want an honest person on anything up there, okay? And where he's a veteran, he's already done his tours, he knows the military strategy. Jeff, they're crazy. And it's like the girl said, like the girl who called up, Mr. Smith goes to Washington. Jeff, are they gonna filibuster this to try to get him? And if they have to, I mean, it's totally ridiculous, Jeff. Let them filibuster. They do everything else on a filibuster.
Well, Dave, that's
no
the thing. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry, I meant to cut you off. Go ahead.
But nobody says, Jeff, about the billions of dollars that Biden just sent Ukraine the other day, another $725 billion and some crazy thing about that. Nobody's saying anything about that, and they don't even need that type of money. We're giving them enough. Nobody's saying nothing about all that.
Well, Dave, I think that's one of the big reasons why they're against Hegseth. It's a massive reason. Hegseth has said no more money for Ukraine. That's it. We're turning off the spigot. No, that's it. No more. No more. And I think this is what's really scaring them. He wants an audit. He has come out and said, I know we have wasted, misappropriated, billions of dollars have disappeared, gone. By the way, the Pentagon, it's nearly a $900 billion budget. Okay, let's not quibble. It's almost $1 trillion, Dave. That's just for the Pentagon. That's our money. $1 trillion, almost $1 trillion. $1 trillion. They have failed 7 consecutive audits. 7 consecutive audits. The corruption is unbelievable. Honestly, it's criminal. And billions of dollars sent to Ukraine, it's gone. I mean, the Pentagon has admitted this. We don't know where the money is. What do you mean you don't know where the money is? We don't know where the money is. Do you know? I don't. Is it stolen? We don't know. So Hegseth has said those days are over. We're not going to send another red cent to Ukraine, and I want a thorough top-to-bottom audit of what happened to the billions of dollars that have now gone missing. Now, let me tell you, this is my suspicion, Dave. We're going to find out. In fact, I know this. Zelensky stole it. His cronies stole it. But some of it got back to Washington. In fact, quite a bit got back to Washington in kickbacks. So part of me is starting to wonder, is Joni Ernst, did that money reach her? Did that money reach Lindsey Graham? Did that money reach Mitch McConnell? I know a lot of Chinese money has reached Mitch McConnell. And the swamp is desperate to prevent this audit and to prevent this information from being discovered. They stole our money. And they funneled it into a war, and they turned Ukraine into a massive money laundering operation. That's what it is. And the money then was recycled back into Washington, D.C., into the pockets of powerful politicians or their families. And Pete Hegseth, who, whatever you want to say about the guy, is a patriot. And he's a man who served in combat. And let me tell you, if I had him on the show, I'll tell you exactly what he would say. Jeff, we didn't have enough military assistance to win the war in Afghanistan or Iraq. Money is being stolen left, right, and center. They're sending us off to these endless wars. Our men and women are coming back in body bags or maimed or crippled, and they're stealing money. And they're stealing so much of it that my fellow veterans have to sleep on the streets. They're homeless. Or they can't get proper health insurance, or they can't get proper mental health, or they can't get their benefits. Our people are going hungry and sleeping out on the streets and homeless while they're stealing billions of dollars. And they don't want Pete Hegseth to blow the whistle, because Hegseth will blow the whistle. Because when a nominee sits in front of you, if you're corrupt, just see, we always look at it through our eyes. And it's not that we're flawless. We all have sins. You have sins, Dave. I have sins. We're human beings, okay? But we're not whores. I'm serious. We're not Caligula. That's the difference between us and so many of these people in Washington. So we don't see the world through their eyes. Because we're not corrupt gangsters. Well, look at it from their point of view. You're a senator, and you're now sitting down with Hegseth, to vet him, to talk to him, to make sure what's he going to do, what are his plans. And he's telling you, well, we're going to do a complete audit. Oh, no, there's billions of dollars missing. And we're going to find out what happened to the money. And I'm telling you, there's a money laundering scheme in Ukraine. And I'm with Donald Trump on this. We're not going to send any more money. And I think it's time for a peace deal. But I want to find out what happened to the hundreds of billions of dollars that were sent to Ukraine. We need to find out and track down the money. Now, you're a gangster. You're thinking, OMG. Are you serious? My goose is cooked. Pardon my French. It's my ass in the sling. And suddenly now, what, drinking? What's this I hear about you drinking? You got a drinking problem? Oh, what's this? Oh, you cheated on your second wife? Whoa, hey, military code of conduct. Hey, whoa, hey, you can't fool around on your wife. And suddenly now they're the Virgin Mary. They're purer than driven snow. No. When a man like that talks in your office, what you realize is, I can't buy him. I can't bribe him. He's not one of us. He's not go along to get along. No. This guy's a real war fighter. He's a patriot. He can't be bought. His allegiance is to his men, to the Constitution, to the country, to the flag. Boys, girls, we got a problem. And in comes Joni Ernst, in bed with the military-industrial complex. Look, there's a video now circulating. It's all over social media. I urge all of you, please, you got to see this. Joni Ernst is having drinks. Okay, you want to talk about boozing? I'm not saying she's a drinker, but, like a problem with the bottle. But I'm just saying, drinking, okay, alcohol, laughing with Democrats at a party in which she was invited by then Vice President Kamala Harris. As the J6ers were being hunted down and thrown behind bars. The worst part of the J6 witch hunt. And Kamala invited her to a party. There's Joni. You got to see her laughing, smiling, boogieing, dancing, drinking. with very prominent Democrat senators. She's part of the swamp. That's why they want Joni Ernst as Secretary of Defense. Yeah, she'll go in front of a camera. We have to de-wokeify the military. We have to hold it more accountable. We have to have a more effective fighting operation. We have to have a lean, mean fighting machine. And I'm dedicated to all of Trump's policies. Blah, 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 blah. Okay. Bull, you know what? I can't say it. Bull crap, bull crap, bull crap. While the whole time, shivving him. That's why they don't want Pete Hegseth. 617-266-6868 is the number. Mary in Peabody. Thanks for holding, Mary, and welcome.
Oh, Jeff, so thank God that you got me. I was wondering if you could give us the name of all the senators that are voting against Trump's picks, so we can all start calling. That's the only way we can help them.
There are 5 right now that we've got to flood their phone lines and keep calling them. And honestly, Mary, here's all we tell them. You're the next Liz Cheney. Fine. You vote against Trump's picks, we're going to primary you. Bye. Hang up. That's it. Your career is over. Joni Ernst, Republican, Iowa. Lindsey Graham, Republican, South Carolina. Mitch McConnell, Republican, Kentucky. Susan Collins, Republican, Maine. Lisa Murkowski, Republican, Alaska. Now, there's a couple of others. They play a game. Okay. And there's this guy Curtis out of Utah, who's really a Mitt Romney wannabe. He just got elected. You've got Mark Wayne Mullen in Oklahoma. He's another one. Thune, I don't trust him as far as I can throw him. But what I'm just saying is, from everything that's been reported, the 5 hard no's, the ones behind the scenes, according to Senator Dick Blumenthal, Mary. Okay, this is Danang Dick. He's a Democrat from Connecticut. Hard leftist. Rabid anti-Trumper. He has been telling the media, he's got a big mouth, saying that he's had lunch and dinner, and that with those 5 senators, and those 5 senators have told Dick Blumenthal, Danang Dick, that loser, that they're going to sink Pete Hegseth, they're going to sink Robert F. Kennedy Jr., they're going to sink Tulsi Gabbard, and they're going to destroy Kash Patel. They said, trust us on this. Trump is not going to get one single MAGA nominee through. We'll give him Rubio. He's establishment. Elise Stefanik, we can swallow. So he's going to get a few. But anyone that's serious, hardcore MAGA, we are going to destroy. And the way they're destroying them, Mary, this is their strategy, is it's their people that are leaking these lies and smears to the media. And the one, at least on Hegseth, everyone's going to take a different leading role. Okay, but for Hegseth, the one that's quarterbacking, leading the charge, the ringleader, if you want, it's Joni Ernst. Lindsey Graham's playing a big role, but Joni Ernst is the point person. Now, she thinks we're stupid. She thinks we're just going to turn a blind eye. No. And I'm telling you, God is my witness. If I have to go to Iowa myself in 2026 and campaign, we're going to primary her. Like, I'm not kidding. What we did to Liz Cheney in Wyoming, we're going to do to her in Iowa. She has to know now, it's over. We don't want Vichy Republicans anymore in our movement and in Trump's administration. We don't want Judases and traitors. Enough. You want to be a Democrat? Join the Democratic Party. And you know, Dan Bongino, I've quoted him already. I'm going to quote him again. Have you noticed? It's true. No Democrat is a secret Republican. Have you noticed that? Never. Not a single Democrat is a secret Republican. But how many Republicans are secret Democrats? And that's our problem. Well, now we got to flush them out. Now, the problem is, for them, they know we have the votes. They know we have the popularity. They know we have the mandate. And now they fear Elon because Elon's got a lot of money. He's got deep pockets. And Elon has said he's going to fund a primary challenge against anybody that now stands against Trump and his nominees. So now they're worried. They're like, how do we do this? Because Joni Ernst now knows if I go public against Hegseth, I'm cutting my own throat. That's why they're operating in the shadows. And the way they operate is it's her staff that's feeding this garbage to, say, NBC. And then notice, they lie to NBC, and then CNN says, oh, look at these allegations. He's got a drinking problem, alcohol abuse. Well, it's based on one story, all anonymous, and all false and refuted. So I can say about anything. Literally, Mary, I'm not trying. I could say you sleep with pigs. I mean, I could, and anonymously, but just don't quote me. Okay. So Mary in Peabody sleeps with pigs. And then from that point on, I'm not kidding. Then it's like, Mary, do you sleep with pigs? Mary, do you think people who sleep with pigs should be allowed to be Secretary of Defense? Mary, you know, you're a pervert. What is it with you and bestiality? And before you know it, everyone's like, well, Mary, apparently you got to reassure us on this. Are you sleeping with pigs? It's what Nancy Pelosi called the wrap-up smear. Here, let me play it again. 2017. This is Nancy Pelosi in 2017. And she said, look, this is how it works here on Capitol Hill. We feed you guys BS, bogus information to the media. She's talking to journalists. You guys just repeat it, and then we use it against whoever we want to use it against. Roll cut 9, Mike.
So they don't want them to see that contrast, so they focus on something else. And it's a diversionary tactic. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. You demonize, and then we call it the wrap-up smear. If you want to talk politics, you call it the wrap-up smear. You smear somebody with falsehoods and all the rest, and then you merchandise it. And then you write it, unless they see it's reported in the press that this, and this, so they have that validation that the press reported the smear, and then it's called the wrap-up smear. Now I'm going to merchandise the press's report on the smear that we made. And it's a tactic. And it's self-evident.
I mean, look, talk about no conscience. You know, you're lying about somebody. You're bearing false witness. I mean, it's a fundamental sin. It's one of the 10 Commandments. And it's like, yeah, we do it all the time. Yeah, what's the problem? Yeah, that's how we do it here. Yeah. What did they do to Brett Kavanaugh? They lied about him being this, rapacious sexual predator, and that he was an alcoholic and a drunk. And they're just doing the same thing to Hegseth. It's Kavanaugh all over again. 9:20 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's Bulldozer. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, literally, in the last couple of minutes, there's been major developments now regarding Pete Hegseth. Okay, so here is now more is coming out. A lot more is coming out. Okay, so here is what we know. Okay, according to 617, who just texted me this story, Jeff, did you know what state supplies billions of dollars worth of artillery shells to Ukraine? You guessed it, Iowa. Joni Ernst doesn't want that to end. Hence a no for Hegseth. Now, furthermore, listen now to this. President Trump has now come out and officially made a statement in full support. This is on Truth Social, in full support of Pete Hegseth. Quote, here is what President-elect Trump said. Pete Hegseth is doing very well. His support is strong and deep, much more so than the fake news would have you believe. He was a great student, Princeton, Harvard educated. With a military state of mind, he will be a fantastic, high-energy Secretary of Defense, secretary, one who leads with charisma and skill. Pete is a winner, and there's nothing that can be done to change that. By the way, the media is also covering this up. Not only did Pete win Purple Hearts and Bronze Stars, I mean, really distinguished himself with valor on the battlefield. Graduate of Harvard. He's a graduate of Princeton University. I mean, I could go on and on about the guy's qualifications. Now, listen to Victor Davis Hanson. He's one of the most respected people out there. I read his stuff religiously. He's one of the wise men of the commentariat and the pundits out there. A brilliant conservative. He's now warning Trump and warning all conservatives. Listen to what he just wrote on X. The left now believes it can magically rebound by destroying Donald Trump's cabinet nominees. Many of Trump's picks are well outside the usual Washington, D.C., New York political media and corporate nexus. But that is precisely the point, to insert reformers into a bloated, incompetent, and weaponized government who are not part of it. He's dead on. Dead on. Dead on. In other words, he's not part of the establishment or the swamp. This Washington, D.C., New York, as Victor Davis Hanson calls it, political media corporate nexus, this tight network that really runs the swamp and is the swamp. And he says, no, you got to bring in insurgents, outsiders, reformers. And that's the only way you're going to end this corrupt, weaponized government. And that's why they've singled out all of his key MAGA picks to try to destroy them. 617-266-6868 is the number. One more. Very quickly. Okay, here it is. Senator Joni Ernst has been on the Senate Armed Services Committee for 9 years. This is from 508. The Pentagon hasn't been able to complete an audit for 9 years. Now you know why Joni Ernst doesn't want Pete Hegseth to be Secretary of Defense. Where's the money, Joni? That is the big concern of the swamp. That's what I've been saying. Hegseth says he wants to audit the swamp. Audit that massive, bloated military Pentagon budget. And that's why they're all freaking out. Now he's a boozer, he's a drinker, he's a rapist, he's a sexual assaulter, he's running organizations into the ground. Now they're just throwing everything at the guy. Now, one last one. I'm sorry, and then I promise I'll go to the phone lines. 617-266-6868. This is from 917. Jeff, here is the advice I hope you give to Team Trump. If John Thune will cooperate, Senator Thune, he will put the Senate in recess for 1 hour right after the inauguration. Trump will then make recess appointments for all his cabinet choices. No debate, no hearings, no BS. Get to work and let the Dems, the rhinos, and the media lose their minds. But don't play games with them. Ignore them. I am with you, 917, all the way. Trump now should literally throw down the gauntlet and say, you guys want to keep jerking my people around like this and smearing them and defaming them? Okay. I'm going to recess appoint Pete Hegseth. Blank you. You want to do the same to RFK? I'll recess him. Blank you. You want to keep going? Tulsi Gabbard, I'll recess her. Blank you. In other words, he's got to declare war on the swamp right away. Because Victor Davis Hanson is right. The left now thinks that they can come back by sinking and tanking Trump's nominees. No way, Jose. 9:31 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's Bulldozer. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, joining us now, as she always does at this time, the CEO, president of Kelly Financial Services. And yes, that is her wonderful name, Kelly. Kelly, how are you?
Good morning, Jeff. I am good. If you're new to the world of financial planning and you might fund the retirement you've always dreamed of, you don't have to go it alone. When choosing a financial advisor, pick one that shares your values, listens to what you want, and understand your expectations. Their knowledge and capabilities should also reassure and build trust to enable you to achieve your retirement goals. The advisors at Kelly Financial will take you through a planning process that focuses on the generation, preservation, and distribution of the assets you've worked so hard to save for. My book, Retire Your Fear, Plan Your Future, discusses the importance of an income plan when considering retirement. For a free copy of the book or a free consultation with a Kelly advisor, give us a call or email kelly@kellyfinancial.org. Jeff, I will continue this conversation with our Kelly advisors tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. on Safe Money Strategies Radio. Do tune in or go to our website for our radio rewind. Jeff, have a wonderful weekend. My best to Grace and the kiddos.
Thank you. All the best to you and everyone at Kelly Financial. Please, I urge all of you, call for a free consultation or to get their guide. Call 888-800-1881, 888-800-1881, or you can email Kelly herself, kelly@kellyfinancial.org. That's kelly@kellyfinancial.org. All right, very quickly. This is from Kevin. Kevin emailed me this. He is a very long-time listener of the show, good friend of mine, and we go way back. Okay, Kevin and I go back many, many years. And he really wants me to read this this text message that he sent me to really make a point, and I think he's completely right. And I'm not saying this to pat myself on the back, but really it is true. Everything what he's writing now is true. Jeff, let me go out on a limb here to show just what deviant liars the swamp really are. I've known you for many years. I can attest to your character. And you, Jeff Kuhner, have to be one of the most squeaky clean men I have ever known. You've lived an honorable life. You've worked hard. You've been loyal to your family before God and have kept your nose clean all these years. By the way, thank you very much for that, Kevin. I really appreciate it. I don't know if my wife would agree with that. I'm just kidding. But no, thank you. I really appreciate these kind words. Kevin goes on to say, all that being said, I contend that if Trump were to have nominated you for any position in his cabinet, the Judas rhinos, the media, and the deep state would have publicly turned you into the next coming of Attila the Hun. Bingo. Bingo. I'm telling you. I wouldn't recognize myself. I'd be like Pete Hegseth right now. What, I'm an alcoholic? What? I take money? What? I mismanage and run organizations into the ground? What? What? That's what a bunch of liars and propagandists they are. And, as another friend of mine, Manny Ribeiro, a great veteran, great vet, texted me maybe an hour ago. He said, Jeff, look, I'm sorry to phrase it this way. I got to clean it up a little bit. When does this stop being BS? And this is defamation. It's true. It is. This is defamation. It's pure defamation. And let me just state it very quickly. The reason why Joni Ernst and Lindsey Graham and the Rhinos and the Dems and the entire machine are against Pete Hegseth is not because you think he's a drinker or a womanizer or whatever it is. No. It's because he's against these regime change wars and the billions and billions of billions that are being squandered and sent overseas. Because that means your kickbacks end. That means the money supply into your pockets gets cut off. That's what this is the swamp now, saying we've got to control our money, our power, our control, our wealth. That's the real reason why they oppose Pete Hegseth. 617-266-6868 is the number. Forrest on the North Shore. Thanks for holding, Forrest, and welcome.
Good morning, Jeff.
Hi, Forrest.
Happy holidays to you and everybody in Kuhner country.
All the best to you and your family, Forrest.
Thank you. So I can't agree. I agree with your friends 2,000% about your character and where the rhinos are going involved with this warmongering, and all their kickbacks will stop. It just seems, and they have the pattern of when they want to smear somebody, Republican, and it started back with Thomas way back when, it's always in some sort of a sexual nature, and it's usually outdated where the accusations are very, very, hard to prove. And now you've got Ernst and all the, where were these people when the salacious talk and facts were proven that Swalwell was involved with a female Chinese spy? And he's on the Intel committee still. Why is it always that the Democrats do whatever they want and the facts come out and it's proven that they're wrong, yet they're still in these powerful positions? Hegseth, he'll be a great person for this position, and we all know that when the left starts screaming and finger pointing and smearing, it's the right person for that position. And all Trump's picks now, they're all the right people to be where we want this country to go.
I couldn't have said it better myself, Forrest. By the enemies now arrayed against Hegseth, against Pete, he's the right guy for the job. If the lobbyists are against him, and the Democrats and the rhinos and the lying media are against him, hey, we found our guy. Forrest, excellent point. Thank you very much for that call. And by the way, he's completely right on Swalwell, but on so much. Her name, the spy's name, literally was Fang Fang. So the joke on Capitol Hill was when Swalwell was sleeping, she was a Chinese spy. Okay? Forgive me. He was banging a Chinese spy as he was on the House Intelligence Committee. Do you know what a security breach that is? And on Capitol Hill, it's like bang, bang with Fang Fang. Swalwell is still there. Swalwell does media interviews. Swalwell's being promoted. There's not a problem. Not a problem. Pete Hegseth, I was a womanizer. I've changed. I found Jesus. 6-7 years ago? I became a born-again Christian. I'm a new man. Oh, well, no, hey, whoa. Whoa, no, whoa, hey. Well, you can't lead the men. Come on. 617-266-6868. John in Whitman. Thanks for holding, John, and welcome.
Jeff, thanks for taking my call.
My pleasure, John.
So I talked to you a couple of times in the past. This whole thing with Hegseth. My father was 20 years in the military. He landed in France in June 6th and went all the way through to Germany. He was an enlisted man and left Europe as an officer. Came home, went in front of what was then called the commission, and he went from lieutenant to captain, and he eventually, after 20 years, retired as a major. He would tell me about the armchair generals and how, they hated what were called Mustangs, like my father, because they earned their stripes. They earned their rank instead of being given to them because they went to some college. I don't know if you remember, but you remember what Obama did with the Pentagon? He purged it.
Yes.
Yeah.
All the conservative generals, top conservatives in leadership, he just cleaned them all out.
So a guy like Hegseth scares the living bejeebies out of them because he's not like those guys that say, go up that hill, man. He's the guy that says, follow me. You know what I'm saying? So he's going to scare the living crap out of them. And that's why they're fighting so hard to keep him out. And even if he gets into...
John, can you please hang on? Because you mentioned your father and you mentioned, Europe, World War II, and what kind of a fighter your dad was. I want to ask you a very important question. Please hang on. More next. And down the stretch we come. 9:49 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's bulldozer. Okay, let's go right back to John in Whitman. John, you were talking about your dad who served honorably in World War II and how he hated these armchair generals and hated Mustangs, as your father characterized himself. Basically these fierce war fighters. Why? Because people like your dad led by example. And, people would follow men like your dad because they were warriors, they were brave, they were patriots, unlike these armchair generals who tell you to just take a hill. Pete Hegseth is the kind of guy who charges up the hill and has you follow him up the hill. Now, John, one of the attacks that they're making on Hegseth is that because self-admitted womanizer, philanderer, that this violates the military code of ethics. And that because he cheated on his spouse, because he kind of played the field a little bit, that this should disqualify him to be Secretary of Defense. I'm just curious, what would your father say to that? And what do you say to that?
BS. Just very simply. Why that under those standards, why was Clinton allowed to remain president? What's the difference? I don't hear them, I didn't hear them calling for him for what he did, what Clinton did. He got away with that. What's the difference? Nothing.
And John, my understanding is, and this is what many vets and combat veterans have told me, they go, look, Jeff, it's war. I mean, it's, men will sleep around. Adultery is just part of life in the mill. Not everybody does it, obviously, but look at Vietnam. I mean, look how many children were sired in Vietnam by our own troops. Oh, yeah. If we started to go after people who had affairs or, were promiscuous or cheated on their spouses, we'd throw half the military out. I mean, am I wrong, John?
And take a look at the armchair generals. You think they're not playing around? Come on.
John, thank you very much for that call. I really appreciate it. Thank you. And God bless your father. 617-266-6868. John in Reading. Thanks for holding, John, and welcome.
Jeff, how are you, my friend?
I'm good. How are you, John?
Good. I hope you remember me. I'm related to Jason at the Post. We've talked before. But anyways, Jeff, spent 7 years in the United States Army, and I was at the rank of a sergeant first class. And my tours of duty in Vietnam, part of my total, when we were in the base camp and we came under ground attack, my team, because we were, like I said, in the 75th Rangers, our only job was to go to the general's compound and guard the general's compound. And inside the general's compound, they had a lot of what we refer to as donut dollies. These are the young women who volunteered their time through the Red Cross, and they visited the troops, and they gave them coffee and donuts and desserts and things like that. But I can tell you from the bottom of my heart on my children, there was a lot of fraternization with the upper echelon of officers in these female volunteers. And for them to question Pete Hegseth about his fidelity is ludicrous. And another thing I'd like to say is Pete Hegseth, you can always tell a true military officer if they have what they call a combat infantryman's badge, along with a Purple Heart and along with the Bronze Star. Those three together say, this guy's seen action. He knows what the troops are all about. He's the guy I want. Most of the generals, once they make the rank of brigadier general, they spend the rest of their time looking for the second star. They are no longer soldiers. They're politicians, and that's all they care about. If you want to change the Pentagon and you want to make a difference, you want a guy like Pete Hegseth. And his drinking stuff, Nixon and Bush were both confirmed alcoholics. What the hell are they talking about? This guy is a top-of-the-line guy, Harvard, Princeton educated, a true patriot. This is who we want.
John, we've only got about a minute left. I hate to rush you, but because I think you've made a magnificent case on behalf of Pete Hegseth, and you're showing the hypocrisy of the top brass, which is what John was saying. Would you, as a man who fought and served in Vietnam, a sergeant, would you follow Pete Hegseth? Would he have your respect, even though apparently, he was a womanizer and a philanderer? Would the men in the military respect a guy like Hegseth as head of the Pentagon and the DOD?
In the military second. The officers in general, it makes me laugh, Jeff, sitting here thinking that someone would question the fidelity when all the officers had the choice of the prostitutes, the choice of, whatever they want. The drinking that went on was completely off the charts. You want a guy like Pete Hegseth. Trust me on this one.
What a way to end the show. John, thank you for your service. And dynamite call. Well, there you have it. I mean, it's hypocrisy all the way through. Pete, stand your ground. Fight. And we will fight with you. On that note, happy weekend, everybody. Bye-bye.